Welcome back! Remember in our last lesson, we explored how love, sacrifice, and transformation were represented by the ancient Greeks? Well, now our quest continues with another powerful story of transformation and balance, but this time from Hindu mythology. Let's head to a place full of vibrant life, ancient India. Here we are, India, where Hinduism is the main religion. It's also practiced in many other places around the world, with over 900 million followers. Hinduism is one of the world's oldest religions too, but unlike many others, it's not based on a single founder or holy book. It's more like a way of life, a blend of traditions, philosophies, and practices. Most Hindus believe in a supreme being, a divine force whose different qualities are represented through many gods and goddesses. And a big idea in Hinduism, an idea we've seen before, is that life moves in cycles of life, death, and rebirth. But it's all influenced by karma, the belief that what you do in one life shapes your soul's future incarnations. Now, let's dive into the story of Annapurna. Today, we're going to analyze how the conflict between Shiva and Parvati reflects Hindu beliefs and how the theme of transformation is represented through these characters. Let's get into it. As you read the story, highlight key details about the conflict and how it gets resolved. In the realms beyond time, there was a sacred balance that governed the universe, upheld by the divine union of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. The well-being and harmony of all living things depended on this balance, but one day, a great debate ensued between the couple. Shiva, the lord of thought and transcendence, dwelled in deep meditation. He came to believe the material world was nothing but Maya, an illusion, transient and deceptive. He thought all that mattered was the eternal spirit, while the physical was ever-changing and insignificant in comparison. Parvati, however, was the embodiment of action and the creative force behind the physical world. She nurtured the earth and all that grows. It was through her energy that food was harvested, water flowed, and life thrived. She understood that while thought led to wisdom, it was action that sustained the world. Shiva began to disregard Parvati's role in the universe. He spoke to her one day, saying, "The world you nurture is fleeting and false. The rivers, the forests, even this flesh is a mirage. Why trouble yourself when it is only the spirit that endures?" Parvati, ever patient, the mother of all, knew the truth that Shiva, in his detachment, could not yet see. She replied, "Thought alone cannot sustain the world. The body needs food, the earth needs care. The material world, though fleeting, is as necessary as the spiritual." But Shiva, lost in his contemplation of higher truths, continued to belittle her role. Okay, let's pause. What's the conflict here? Shiva believes the physical world is just an illusion, while Parvati argues it's essential for life. Think about what Parvati might do in response to Shiva's words. What impact could this argument have? Let's see how this conflict develops. Hurt by Shiva's words, Parvati withdrew her power from the earth. And as she withdrew, rivers dried, crops withered, and famine swept the land. Life began to fade away, leaving a barren, empty world in its place. At first, Shiva did not notice, but then hunger struck through his meditations. He too began to feel the pangs of a world without nourishment. And in that hunger, he realized the truth. The needs of the body were no illusion. Spirit and matter were not rivals. The spiritual and the material are intertwined. Humbled, Shiva transformed into a beggar. He wandered the earth seeking food and forgiveness. Out of compassion for the suffering world, Parvati returned, but this time she appeared in a new form, as Annapurna, the goddess of nourishment. With a radiant smile, the goddess held a bowl of food in her hands, offering sustenance to the hungry. When Shiva, the beggar, asked for food, Annapurna smiled and offered him nourishment. And just like that, balance was restored. But what does this tell us about Hindu beliefs? Take a closer look at how the main conflict reflects the values of ancient Hindu tradition. Let's sink our teeth into this story. Shiva and Parvati's arguments and the problem it creates for all living things symbolizes the ancient Hindu belief that balance between both spiritual and physical life is essential for the individual and for the universe. First, think about when Shiva dismisses the physical as Maya, an illusion. He doesn't realize how much he needs it until it's gone. How does this affect him? Well, imagine living only in your thoughts without taking care of your body. What might happen? Well, in Hinduism, the 5 koshas are the 5 layers of the body. They represent different aspects of a person, starting with the physical body, which is sustained by food. The story reminds us that without caring for the physical body through proper nourishment, other layers representing the spiritual and emotional aspects of life cannot thrive. Now, let's think bigger. How does this balance affect the whole world? Without Parvati's care, the whole world suffers. But when she returns, the world comes alive. She embodies another important idea in Hindu culture, annadana, the gift of food. It's the belief that sharing food creates a world where people feel more connected and spiritually fulfilled, and it brings positive karma to the giver. So, as a result of this conflict, how do the characters transform? We've seen how their disagreement reflects important beliefs about balance and nourishment, but now let's talk about how this experience changes Shiva and Parvati. Let's start with Shiva. Look back at the story. How does he transform, and why? Shiva transforms by becoming a beggar and embracing humility, realizing that he was wrong, that he needs the physical world, and that Parvati's role is just as important as his own. Now, what about Parvati? How does she transform, and why? Parvati becomes Annapurna, the goddess of nourishment, providing for others directly and feeding Shiva without hesitation. She changes out of compassion for the suffering world, and by bringing everything back to life really shows us just how powerful compassion is. If we think about karma, the 5 koshas, and annadana, we are again reminded of the importance of humility and compassion. It's Shiva's humility and Parvati's compassion that help restore the connection between the physical world and the spiritual world. What do you think about the lesson this teaches us? What universal truth from the story of Annapurna would you suggest is still relevant today? Amazing work! We have yet another page of this codex, unlocking ancient wisdom coursing through history. I'll bring this back to the Institute while you get started on your online practice. Remember, stay legendary. Hey.